My name is Christy Sims. I am a mother. I am a counselor. I am a child of God. And I am a survivor of domestic violence.
Amen.
The question I ask myself and that some people ask me is, how in the world did you get here? I had this life thing all figured out. I thought that I did. If you want to ever hear God laugh, try planning your try planning your life without Him. Try planning your life without Him. I had it all figured out. I planned my house. I planned the man that I would marry. I planned that I would have 2 children, a boy and a girl. I planned even the dog that I would have. I always said I would have a white poodle, and I got a white poodle named Sam. I planned it all. I have 2 degrees, one in marketing, one in counseling. I just had this life thing figured out. I had it all laid out. And then 14 years ago, I had a little girl on this day. 14 years ago, I had a little girl named Kayla. And she lived for 3 weeks. And she passed away. And I was left with this gaping hole in my heart. It affected my marriage. It affected my business. It affected every part of me. When she died that day, a part of me died that day. And so I've walked around all these years with this gaping hole in my heart. And on the day that she died, I prayed that day. In fact, I thanked God. I said, God, you know what? Thank you. Thank you in advance for the day that this doesn't hurt, for the day that when I think of her, I have more joy than pain. But I walked around for years and years and years, and it destroyed my marriage. That grief destroyed my marriage. We grieved in our separate corners, and eventually we got divorced, and then I met this man. I met this man who reminded me of a time when I felt free. He told me I was beautiful every single day. He took me places and bought me things and wined me and dined me. He told me he loved me, he loved me, he loved me. And then after a period of time, I began to grow. I began to manifest into the woman that God wanted me to be. I found my calling in counseling. I was helping people and nurturing people. And he was just standing still. He began to try to control every part of my life. He didn't hit me. He never hit me. That's the misconception. But he wanted to control every part of my life. He wanted me to quit my job, the job that God called me to do. He wanted to marry me. He wanted to possess me. He wanted to own me. He couldn't even stand for me to go to the gas station. It was a problem going to the gas station because he said that men would be there and men would offer to pump my gas. He had a problem with me going to Home Depot. Going to Home Depot became a problem. He began to isolate me from my family. I looked around and I had no friends. I hadn't seen my mother in I don't know how long. He found ways to manipulate me and control me without ever laying a hand on me. This man never beat me. I did not know that I was in a cycle of abuse until I woke up from a coma 2 months later. One day he called me into the bathroom of my house, just a normal day. We were having a normal day. I had made the decision I was going to back away from him. I had told him that I didn't want to marry him. Marrying him was the thing that he wanted more than anything in this world. He had identified that I was his source of happiness. I filled his void, and he was filling my void, but I had learned to fill my own voids by that time. He decided that, you know what? If I can't have her, no one can have her. And so he threw acid in my face and he splashed me. He changed my life forever. I woke up, this happened to me in April 2013. I woke up June 2013 and I looked like a totally different person. I didn't recognize myself. I looked in the mirror and I didn't know who or what I was anymore. I lost my career. You can't counsel face to face when your face is completely destroyed. I had to be away from my children for 6 months. I woke up completely blind, utterly and completely blind. I had to learn how to walk again. And guess what? He had already gotten into another relationship and joined the church and got baptized, had moved on with his life. And so I began to fight that. My story went international. I've been featured in Jet Magazine, Headline News, NBC, ABC, CBS, you name it, Tom Jummer Morning Show, Ricky Smiley Morning Show. Everywhere that I could tell this story, I've been telling this story. And on July 23rd, my son's 16th birthday, this guy was finally brought to justice. Finally got 20 years. In the process of losing my outer beauty. I was an attractive woman before this happened to me. Never vain, never vain. I just took it for granted. I was surrounded by beautiful people. I'm from Southwest Atlanta. Everybody in Southwest Atlanta is pretty. Everybody in Southwest Atlanta is pretty. Atlanta is just a city of beautiful people in general. And so I just said, you know what, I'm just average. I'm just an average or pretty girl, right? I did not know how truly beautiful I was until I lost my outer. I discovered the inner beauty in me. I spent so much time in isolation that I learned to focus on my inside. I learned to love my inside. I discovered that thing that he thought that was the most important thing to me and to everybody else, that was just minute. My face was minute. I carry the glory of the living God inside of me, and you cannot burn it. You can't throw acid on it. You can't beat it. You can't burn it. You can't forget it. You can't ignore it. It is there. The God in me cannot be burned. This is my story. This is not my life.